Hey everyone, it's Instructor Jay. Let me see if everybody's up and about right now. Hey everyone, it's Instructor Jay, and welcome to Guardian's Mind Fireside Chat. We're going to talk about Mindset Monday and kind of talk about some things that's going on in the world and kind of how you can wrap your mind around what's happening in the world today, as well as what you can do to kind of be the best person you are. This is going to be definitely an open discussion, so please comment. Let's make this a discussion as much as we can instead of me just talking to you. It's a beautiful, Arizona day. It's like 81 degrees right now where I'm at right now, and I'm at home quarantining. But just wanted to talk a little bit about mindset and a little bit about mental health because I'm sure right now everybody's, abiding by the quarantine. I went to the post office today to drop something off, and again, the CDC's requiring masks. Not requiring, but requesting people wear masks. And it really kind of set me back. It's like, okay, where are people's mindsets at, and where are we at right now? It's a tough time. I've been cooped up in the home more than I've ever been in my entire life, and it's definitely been a difficult time for me. Just full disclosure, it's been a really difficult time being quarantined. I'm a very social person. If you get to know me, I love teaching. I love being with people and getting to know their stories and understanding who they are and connecting with people. And I haven't been able to do that as much as I wanted to because of the quarantine. And the great part is we have this, and let's just keep this going. But I've had a couple Zoom meetings with people, but again, that personal contact interaction has just been missing. And so I wanted to talk about a little bit about mindset and survival. First and foremost, when we talk about survival, not only from a perspective of going out in the woods and surviving, but also in this world we live in right now, your mindset is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. I could give a person all the material needs in the world, and there are still people that will just end up dying and end up wasting away or committing suicide or whatever the case may be. I mean, again, mental health is a big aspect of what we're dealing with right now. Domestic violence calls for my agency has gone up 70%, and it's a sad state of affairs that when you coop people into homes that close spaces together, it's just naturally going to happen. We got Warthog holsters. I was on the west side of Phoenix today. I wanted to wear a full Tyvek suit. It's a crazy world we live in. Again, so my agency's been dealing with a 70% uptick in domestic violence situations. Just sitting in my backyard in this is a very quiet neighborhood, a not quiet town I live in. And I was hearing sirens rolling down the road, and thinking about my brothers and sisters in law enforcement and my brothers and sisters in the fire and EMS service. I razz them all the time. I call them hose draggers, my fire and EMS folks, but they're my brothers and sisters in red and blue. And hearing the sirens go off going down the road, there are still people out there that are willing to put their life on the line, leave their homes, leave their families to go do the job every day. I'm doing it less and less now because of my company, but it kind of puts me in that state of affairs. And I wanted to talk about mindset. Thanks for joining me, Mike. Mike really Mike's a former cop, and really put it in my ear that people from a perspective of weapons retention, and we'll talk a little bit about weapons retention and bringing guns into fights. But I kind of want to start off with the whole mindset of how we're living and thriving, not surviving, but thriving in our lives right now, and how fortunate we should be to have our health and to have our lives. And I know that sounds hunky, kind of cliche-ish and a little everything's hunky-dory kind of thing, but it's true. How we react right now in this world that we live in right now, through this pandemic, through COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, how we react to this and deal with this right now will speak wonders for us, and it will actually speak to our legacy from now on. we still speak about what happened in 1918. And we had, back in 1918, we had, I would say, 1/100th or more, 1/100th or more, 1/1000th of the ability to communicate our feelings, communicate how we're doing, transmit information from one side of the globe to the other. We've had that ability now that we didn't have in 1918. And there are still things we talk about that happened in 1918, good, bad, or indifferent, that we did. So again, how are you going to write your legacy here and now? That was a big decision we had to make from a company standpoint, to cancel all our classes, all our live classes, and go to an online perspective, where we do an online concealed carry class, where we have a video like this, pre-recorded video, where we do the knowledge transfer. And then we do a 2-part series where we actually have, the second part is where you have a Zoom conference with Karen or I, and teach the class. A lot of people are like, you can't do it on CCW. Well, I'm not. I'm doing a Zoom conference call with each of my students to make sure that they get the knowledge transfer, and then doing online Stop the Bleed. So it's how we're pivoting as a company. I know there are still some companies probably that are teaching live classes and ignoring CDC recommendations. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to put people in danger to make a profit or to make money. I'm going to still provide training the best way I possibly can to pivot. But again, we're going to be remembered for who we are. And it's definitely weighed heavily on my mind, in my psyche, because again, I'm a naturally, if you know me, and I know there's people that are watching this that know me, I like to talk. I like to talk with people and teach and do all that stuff. But the thing is, I have to abide. Bug in my face. I have to abide by the CDC recommendations, and also we got to stop the spread of this virus. And so the thing is, it's really weighed on my mind. I've been home more than I've ever been in my entire life, and I wouldn't say I'm losing my mind, but I've tried to keep myself of right mind and body. So the mindset is again, this is how we're going to be remembered. That's it with regards to survival. Are we going to put our hands up and give up, or are we going to thrive through this and survive and do the best we possibly can? Because again, what we do is how we're going to be remembered. And again, Spanish flu in 1918, we had 1/1000th of the technology that we have now. And so, what we say, what we do, and how we act are going to be a part of that. So Mike brought up a point about, we're seeing more and more gun owners. I've seen more new firearms owners in the past 6 months, or actually in a couple months, but especially 6 months, than I've ever seen before. And with that, I've seen some crazy stuff. A lot of people send me and Karen, some crazy videos and some crazy pictures of people doing crazy stuff with guns. A lot of it unsafe. You have the likes of the Tiger King out there, and I won't be a spoiler alert on that, but the stuff that they were showing on video with firearms, and it has nothing to do with the Tigers, is absolutely despicable. And it straight up pisses me off because it makes a bad image for our industry. But so, again, Mike was asking me about, hey, what about weapons retention? You haven't talked about that. And that's one aspect of it. I see more and more people, again, carrying more guns, and they're not trained. And I'm all about the Second Amendment. I'm all about people owning firearms, and it should not be restricted with regards to, people, if they're not a convicted felon and they're not a prohibited possessor of the laws that we have in place now. If they're not prohibited, then you shouldn't be prohibited from carrying, having a firearm. Now, carrying a firearm and owning a firearm for the purpose of self-protection, that's a different thing. I kind of hold those in two different regards. Somebody that has a firearm and just owns it and wants to take to the range, and somebody that has a gun in their house with the intention of protecting themselves, their property, or their family, that's where that changes in my mind. Or carrying a firearm out in society, you need to hold that higher standard of care, and that takes training. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, you people just must be knocking down your door. Not really. We're trying to pivot, and this isn't a pity party, but there's not people knocking down my door to get training. There's people knocking down gun store doors to buy firearms, but there's not people knocking down my doors for training, whether it's mostly it's going to be that virtual training, and we're just going to have discussions and talk about taking apart your firearm and being safe with it, and where the bullets go in and where the bullets go out. There's people that have own firearms that don't even know how to load the magazine, and it's not a clip; it's a magazine. They can't even say the right verbiage on that. And again, that doesn't make them an irresponsible gun owner. But if this is something that you're going to carry or have in your home to protect yourself, and you can't even name the parts on it, do you think you're going to cognitively be able to problem solve through such a dynamic and dangerous situation as somebody being in your home, or going out in the street and carrying this gun and being able to act and be the hero? I can tell you right now, based on my 15 years of military and law enforcement experience and Karen's 20 years of law enforcement experience, it won't happen. As Colonel Grossman says, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman says it the best: your body won't go where your mind has not been. It just won't happen. And again, as he says in his book on killing, he says, it's actually on combat, not on killing. He actually says that you don't expect the combat fairy to come bonk you on the head with their combat wand and expect you to do things that you otherwise weren't able to do in your mind. I've been fortunate, blessed, however you want to call it, that I've never had to pull the trigger on somebody. But at least 5 times in my career, in my mind, I've already done it. I've had the gun pointed at the person, fingers gone on the trigger, and I've been anywhere from 5.5 pounds to 3.5 pounds, depending on the weapon system, of pressure on that trigger to taking a life. And if I wasn't ready to do that mentally, there's no way that I could do it physically. And if you think you're just going to figure it out when it happens, it's not going to happen. And I'm not meaning to deride. If that's something that you haven't thought of, and it happens now, take the steps to change that. And again, this is not selling our company and what we do. This is what we believe in. This is our why. Because every time that I've been there, every time that I've been to that situation where I've potentially had to use either force or deadly physical force, if my mind wasn't set on actually doing it, there's no way that I could have done it. And if I was doing it without that, if there was some crazy way that I could have done it without that, you're going to have regrets. Even when you're ready to do it, you're going to have regrets. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. And then you're going to be Monday morning quarterbacked by people that sit in their ivory towers, and behind their Facebook and their social media and their keyboards, and they're gonna tell you what you did right, what you did wrong, and this is what I would have done. This is what I would have done. Well, first of all, you weren't there. Second of all, you weren't there. And third of all, you didn't see it from my perspective. And so the whole thing is the fact that you weren't there, you weren't seeing it from that perspective, and you didn't have the same training. Simply put, you can't judge somebody's actions or reactions based on what you believe is your training experience or lack thereof. And how do you gain that? How do you bring that in? You have to do that with training. So when like Mike asked me about the carrying a firearm, it's all about knowing when to bring the gun out or not. Yes, weapons retention is a valuable tool to understand and how to retain a gun that you have in your holster or in your hand, the physical techniques of that. But it starts with the mindset that not every situation deserves to have a gun put into it, or you interjecting yourself into that. It takes the mindset and the training to understand, okay, this is something that I shouldn't be involved in, and maybe I should call the police. Or from a police officer perspective, off duty, that, you know what, even me as an off-duty police officer, maybe this is just not the opportunity for me to step in, and maybe I need to call resources, i.e. 911, or the non-emergency line, whether it's emergency or non-emergency, and get resources there. And that's the thing. It's like I've seen people get into situations that otherwise they just don't need to be in. And it's not about minding your business. It's not about all of that. It's about the fact that why are you going to put yourself in that situation? And the same thing with home protection. I get this question all the time. What's the best gun for home for home defense? And that's a valuable question. It is a valid, valuable question. But the unsexy, the non-sexy conversation is to have how is the security of your home set up. It's good seeing you, Paul. Luke, it's good seeing you, Luke. It's good seeing you, Charlie, and Mark. It's how the non-sexy, the non-super sexy Instagram videos or Facebook videos is how is your setup, how's your home set up for security? Those concentric rings of security. Because the last thing that I want to do is shoot somebody in my home. That is the last thing that I want to do. Because people say, well, what's the best gun that I can have to shoot somebody in my home? What? Wait, hold on a second. Let's change this. I said, I've got my daughter. I've got Karen in my home. I've got our 60-pound pit bull. We're making memories in this home, and I love my home. Charlie, you can attest to this. Charlie is our pool guy, and he knows my sanctuary of my life. The last thing that I want to do is allow somebody, because I didn't properly secure my home. And you have to have that mindset that if somebody gets in your home, it's because you've allowed them. Is it a zero-sum equation? No, it's not. Can you prevent everybody coming into your home? Absolutely not. But I want to make it very difficult. If they are in my home, it's because they worked very hard to get there. And the last thing that I want to do is come around the corner and some guy has a gun and I shoot this guy in my home. Because when that happens, you're going to have lots of red stuff flying everywhere. And I've seen somebody die in every way possible with the exception of electrocution in my career. And it's gruesome. And there's a couple of them that are still rattling around my head to this day. There's things that I've seen, smelled, and heard that in my professional law enforcement career that I never want to. I wish I could just purge them out of my mind and my body and my soul, but I can't. And I live with them every day. But what I want to say is if I have to do that, do you think my daughter's going to come out of her room and discover that? Yes. And then the police are going to come, and people go, well, the police. I'm like, the police ain't going to clean that up. The medical examiner is not going to clean that up. You're going to be cleaning that up, or you're going to hire a professional service and pay a lot of money to clean up brain matter and intestinal matter off your floor and off your walls. And then the question would be is, are you still going to be living in that home? Because as you walk down the hallway, are you going to relive that scenario day in and day out? And that's something we don't. It's not sexy to talk about. It's not sexy to talk about the home security system, the lights in your home, the Ring doorbells, all of that concentric rings of security in our home security seminar. It's not sexy. What's sexy is going out to the desert and shooting stuff up and shooting scary black guns and all the Instagram videos out there. And I'm guilty of it because again, I have to sell classes. But it's false security, because again, the last thing that I want to do is have to shoot somebody in my own home, and you got to have that mindset that that's the last thing that I want. That's the going out and carrying a gun. People think the best way of explaining it is I carry a gun because it's a shield, not a sword, and you have to have that mindset that this is my shield. Yes, it's a projectile driven shield. But that's my shield to protect me, myself, and my family. It's not a weapon to go out and hunt bad guys and do that crazy stuff. I'm not SEAL Team 6. Never have been. I've never been on a civilian law enforcement team. I was on a SWAT team in the Air Force. But even then we had resources and we had the abilities. And the big part was resources. And as a private citizen or an off-duty officer, you don't have that. And And that's the thing is that's what I want to wrap around a mindset is I want everybody to just be healthy, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, through this quarantine. I haven't got to see friends that I've wanted to see for some time, for almost 2 months. But again, like I tell people this, I say, let's wrap some perspective into that. I was in the Air Force, and never got the opportunity to deploy overseas because of my nuclear security status. But there are people in the military that don't get to see their families for 6 months to a year. That they never get to, they miss their daughter or their son, birthdays and Christmases and then they send them off to Afghanistan or one of the Stan brothers or Iraq, and they don't see them, and when they send them off to the deployment, that may be the last time they see them, or the law enforcement officer that I did that for 15 years. My Karen could send me off and never see me again. And so we're taking this perspective of what I haven't seen my friends for 2 months, and it's getting me down. And then I have to rewrite it in my head that there's military folks that haven't seen their families for 6 months to a year or never see them again. Or same thing with law enforcement officers. They go out on shift and never come back alive. I guess a terrible example would be the recent Phoenix commander. He went out. Yeah, Mike, I didn't answer my phone because I'm on Facebook, Instagram Live. But again, that commander was 2 months away from retiring. 31 years on the job. Kissed his wife. Good night. I had 4 grown children. Went out on shift. Some scumbag shot him and killed him, and he didn't come home. And so the thing is, I want you to just, again, you manifest your own reality. You manifest your own destiny in that regard. And so when we start feeling bad about the quarantine and we're isolating ourselves, just understand there's some people that have it just a lot worse. And so I want you to be healthy. But again, reach out to people. There's this. They have Zoom. They have Skype. They have Facebook Live. They have Instagram Live. They have FaceTime. Whatever you want to use, connect with people. That's what I'm trying to do here, is connect and provide some kind of value added in a place that otherwise we can't do, because we can't do classes and we can't meet with people. And it kills me as an extrovert person that likes to talk to people. You're right, Andrea. Your perspective is everything. That woman right there is the epitome of strength, a pillar of strength, both mentally, physically, spiritually. She's no certain term, she's a badass. And she's a great friend, and we haven't got to see her in a while, and it tears me up. But again, I know that she's doing it for herself. She's doing it for her community, and she's just a badass. There's no other way of saying it. But again, the thing is, I want you to be healthy, but reach out to people. If you're feeling like the struggle is getting real, reach out to people and try to connect with them. And again, if you're going to get a firearm, get training with it. I can't stress that enough. That's the big thing is people are buying guns and ammo. And if you think that having a house full of guns and ammo is going to make you ready for whatever you think it is, but the boogaloo, the government takeover, the anarchy of the world, you got another thing coming. There's a lot of people that have a lot less ammunition, a lot less guns, that are a lot more prepared, because it starts right here and it ends right here. And it'll be, the simple fact is, and it's not being disrespectful, but thanks, bro, for all the ammunition. If it comes down to me and my family, thanks, bro, for doing all that. And then the last thing is just have that mindset that we're gonna make it through, because again, we're gonna be judged. What we do, what we say, how we act right here, right now, is when we get out of that. For the most part, people won't forget it. You're gonna post it on Facebook. You're gonna put it on Instagram. What I'm doing now, and it's going to be remembered for the time being. And again, if it's posted on social media, it's public record. That's the way we treat it. So, my parting words is just be safe, think right, try to be happy, do something good for somebody else, brighten their day, at least brighten one person's day per day. And then the other thing is get training. That's all I can say. It's not a shameless plug for my company. It's the simple fact is, if you're really concerned about the world that we live in now, it's not about the material things. It's about how you wrap your mind around this, and that comes with training, and the skills and techniques that you can do to save your life or save somebody else's life or save your community's life. But again, it begins and ends with training. So my final thing is we're doing online classes. So we're doing an online concealed carry class. It's a 2-part class. It's the online portion where you sit and watch the videos and do the PowerPoints. It's about 2.5 hours. And then the next part is we actually schedule a Zoom video conference with Karen or I, and we actually go through the lesson, teach you the lesson, and make sure it's nailed down, and then do a Q&A session. That's for my Facebook folks, that's the link below. And then we also have an online, a bleeding control class. So that is a purely online class. All the knowledge transfer is there. You can go back over the modules and read the modules. And then once everything's done for both classes, we'll send you out a certificate of completion for both courses so that you're certified and you're good to go. For my concealed carry class, what you're going to do is we're going to email you the certificate, and then we'll mail you the applications, and you can do that. You do not need to be an Arizona resident to get an Arizona concealed carry permit. You do never have to step foot in Arizona, or either live there or have ever stepped foot in the state of Arizona to get an Arizona concealed carry permit. So you can get a permit in Florida, Seattle, Maine, whatever the case may be. You take the class, we do the video conferencing, I email you the certificate, and then after we've done the online and the live portion, then I mail everything out, and then you fill everything out, pay the state, and then you'll get your permit in the mail to your home in whatever state you live in. So again, the Arizona Concealed Carry class, the Guardian Bleeding Control class, and then we are also selling bleeding control kits as well through Tactical Medical Solutions, because we're not only an associate trainer program through TacMed Solutions, but we're also a distributor as well. So whatever medical gear you need, please contact us. We're doing private Zoom courses as well. I've done like 3 Zoom video conferencing where somebody just bought a gun and wanted to learn how to take it apart and clean it and talk about all the fine intricacies of the gun. I do that on a regular. We've done that 3 times since the start of this as well. So contact us. We'll do what we can to help you through these times, and then we'll go from there. Be safe. Do something positive in this world for somebody else, and have a good day. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.